first ladies of the church, but we do community outside the walls of the church. And with that, you know, we've had belt drives. One of the particular schools wanted to the children to have belts, you know, to cut down on the sagging and that. So we participated with that. Of course, we used one of the churches as one of the focal points in bringing the belts in, but it was for an outside ministry outside of the church. So those are some of the things. The diaper drive, we did that, and like I said, that was for one of the senior parent facilities that we, you know, facilitated that with. So a lot of the work we are first ladies of the church, but we do our work and our ministry outside of the walls of the church.
And is that the way you designed this organization? Is that what we're saying here, Ms. Duke?
Absolutely, absolutely. When I called First Lady Russell, I was telling her what God had just kind of given me, and what was interesting about that is each lady that I called, and we have 7 board members, and currently we have 26 active women that have been supportive of this ministry. And I said, you know, there's so much that needs to be done, and a lot of the small churches seem to duplicate services, and we're saying there's a lot that needs to be done, but we can work this out by coming together and doing this. And so as of August of this year, we would have been in operation for a year. We're 501c3, tax exempt, and we have an awesome opportunity to have a food drive. We are partnering now with the Second Harvest Food Bank, and so it gives us an opportunity to provide food to those that are in need within our community. So there's so much that we want to do. We know that we can't do it by ourselves, which is why we have agreed to collectively come together so that we can continue to serve in our community.
And of course, Ms. Russell, looking at what Ms. Duke has said in reference to reaching out, I would imagine that your church is probably doing the same thing in terms of the reaching out as well. Is that
yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm trying to, yeah, we do several things, but I was trying to think in particular, we have a bin where we're doing, like, you know, the clothes to turn into for the homeless or whatever. So yeah, it's, you know, it's just so much to be done. But like Sister Duke has said, a lot of our churches are small, and it takes, you know, us to work together in order to have a greater or bigger impact. So we have decided to do that, and it has really been very, you know, beneficial.
So this organization is having a real, can have a greater impact in terms of helping to alleviate some of the suffering and homelessness and some of those other issues that we generally have within our community. Is that what we're saying?
Well, absolutely, Dr. Haney. For example, she had made mention of it. They did a program, outreach, I guess you would call it, program, a fundraising program for a local ministry around here, a local program here called Renewal House. Renewal House caters to women and children who are on drugs and the like, and helping them make that transition. So they did a fundraiser, raising, you know, Pampers and all that kind of stuff for that particular program. And it was a great program, but you know what was really excellent about that program was when Dr. Russell came in and did his piece, his PowerPoint presentation on child abuse and child abuse prevention and stuff. Learned so much in that setting right there. So so what they're doing, they're out here ministering, they're educating the people, and then they're going over into the disciples' villages, and they're serving and ministering to the elderly and having fun with them, and playing the game with them, just doing all that kind of stuff like that. And then that jail and bail. Boy, that was really fun.
That was good.
You know, that little program, little show. I mean, it was really great. You know, and it was awesome.
But it helps to bring people together, and it's more than just a Sunday kind of thing, dealing with Christianity and et cetera. It's a sort of community kind of thing, and I understand. And the question I might raise here is, how did that belt drive go? You see, because you know,
it was extremely well. We understood that it was a school that, you know, they require uniforms. Well, belts are a part of the uniform, but in some communities, that's one of those things that we take for granted. You know, the children they were in high-risk areas, and they needed belts. So the First Ladies came together, and we collected belts, and then we provided them to one of the churches that we partner with, and then that church supplied the belts to the school that was in need. So whenever we find out that there's a need, we know that we're in a position to try to address that need. And we do that, and we just, we serve.
Just blessed by doing it.
That's
blessed
right.
by being able to do it.
Now, we've got about 3 minutes before the end of this show for today, and what I'd like for you to do now is to think of some of the things that you thought that you'd like to say before you got here this day, and this will be your opportunity. Ms. Russell, what are some of the things that you thought, in view of the fact that you'd have the ear of a large audience this morning, what are some of the things that you thought that you'd like to leave with this audience this morning? Then Ms. Duke will give us some statements, and Pastor Walker will give us some statements in reference to what the two of you have talked about, and then we'll end it for the day.
Well, I guess basically what I would like to do, for the audience to know, that so many times we are misunderstood as a first lady and minister's wife. And in my particular case, I'm here to serve. Again, like I said, I believe that is my purpose. It's not like I want to be served. I want to serve. God said that we should serve. We should be servants. And that basically is what I'm all about. I love serving. I love being a help to the community or to anyone in need. So that's what I would like for them to know.
Some final statements, Ms. Duke.
Well, I just, I thank God for the opportunity to even have been a recipient of the vision to start But God Ministry. One of the things that I say is, it's bigger than me. Even with that the vision, it would not have been successful unless women like Sister Russell and the 7 board members that we have, and unfortunately I can't call each of their names right now, but they know we love them. But the point is, our ministry, it's a 501c3. It can open up doors that wouldn't be open for just other nonprofit agencies. There's some validity behind what we're trying to do. If there was one thing that we could just get out there, is just to say, if there's a need, allow us to do that. As senior pastors' wives, as widows of pastors, we want to serve, and we are in a community where there's a need, and we want to be able to address that need.
And if some women that fall into that category are listening this morning, what would you say in terms of how they might be able to get in touch with you, your organization, and et cetera?
Well, we actually have a website. It's www.butgodnetworkingforyou.com. And the number where we can be reached at, of course, is 615-300-2154. And anyone that's interested in being a part, whether it's serving, providing services, we are eligible for grants, but we're not getting them. So any donations to help our ministry continue to serve, we are welcoming anyone, any first lady, any committed volunteers. We want them.
Right.
A final word in reference to the But God Ministry, Pastor.
The part that's been left out all throughout this thing, networking for you, because what they're doing, they're finding needs and they're filling them. They're networking, like with the belt drive. They got the belts together, gave them to a church that distributed the belts. So they network to meet those needs of people, like with Renewal House and the like. So, and I would encourage pastors to encourage your wives to get involved with this But God Ministry, and the pastors that's wives that are already involved, I would encourage you to get more supportive of your wives who are involved in this ministry.
Very good. Let me thank the three of you for coming by and giving us that excellent information about the But God Ministry. And I'm almost sure that others will be encouraged and will get in touch with you in reference to this. And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning. Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is challenges of the Christian experience. And we're fortunate to have with us to talk about some Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is challenges of the Christian experience. And we're fortunate to have with us to talk about some of the challenges of the Christian experience, Pastor Reverend Daniel Hayes, the senior pastor of John Wesley United Methodist Church. And of course, Reverend Hayes, let me welcome you to the show this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Haynes.
And indeed, to tell you how delighted we are to have you here. We've had you on a number of occasions, but it's been a long time. And so we're glad to simply welcome you back to the show this morning. And as we indicated, the topic is the challenges of the Christian experience. And what we'd like for you to do is to talk about some of the opportunities and some of the challenges that you find within the Christian experience, using, for the most part, some of the ideas that you have in a recent published book called The Persecution for Righteousness' Sake, and to use that as the basis of some of the challenges that you have found in the Bible in reference to the Christian experience and how people might be able to overcome some of the challenges that they have. But before we do that, Pastor Hayes, let's see if we can have you to give us some information about your background, your education, and your experiences. Then we'll have an opportunity during the second segment to get into what we call some of the challenges of the Christian experience.
Thank you. Well, Dr. Haney, I've been in ministry for basically all of my life. I started preaching at the age of 9 years old. I have attended Tennessee State University, Vanderbilt University, Gammon Theological Seminary, where I received my Master's of Divinity. I've also had an opportunity to just work with many people growing in ministry. I've been pastoring in the United Methodist Church for over 37 years, several churches. All of those churches have been growing and live churches, a lot of different situations. So it has certainly been interesting and an opportunity to do a lot of different things. Also, you find in the ministry opportunity to deal with a lot of different people. Through church growth, I have won one of the highest awards in the United Methodist Church called the Denman Award. This is an evangelism award. So I also had that opportunity to win that award. Several years ago, we took a church from very few members to over 400 members in like a 3-year period. So that was also an exciting time of ministry. Just continue to grow, continue to learn, continue to work with people has been one of the things that I've enjoyed doing. And so certainly I'm thankful for that. I've also participated in many workshops, have led many workshops in the United Methodist Church and outside of the United Methodist Church. And so that have given me strength and courage to do the will of God for the ministry and trying to reach people and save them and bring them to church, and also to lead them to a life of being a Christian for the Lord.
And so you've been involved in ministerial work one way or the other, practically, as a matter of fact, I think you said practically all of your life, in a real sense, after having started preaching at the age of 9.
Right.
Certainly you've been involved literally all of your life dealing with the Word of God,
right,
one way or the other. And as I indicated earlier, there are some of the challenges that I'm sure that during the many years that you've been involved with this ministry, there are some of the challenges that you've been able to pull out in terms of being able to deliver to our audience this morning, some of the challenges and how the Christian experience has been able to help people overcome some of those challenges.
Correct.
What would you say, looking at your ministry, one of the things that you've had to deal with more than any other real item, and what we're suggesting here, because we've got a minute in this segment, to simply think in terms of a single item that you think that, that you've had to deal with in your ministry, doing all of your churches and et cetera, that you could start us off with when we come back, dealing with as a challenge.
Okay.
Just think about that, and perhaps you want to make some statements in reference to what that challenge might be.
One of the things, you know, we're going to talk about just loving people. You got to be a good Christian and a true Christian is crossing lines where you just love everybody. You treat everybody like they're somebody, even those that others may count out. You have to treat them as a child of God. And you have to show yourself as a Christian and give yourself Christian love.
Very good. And so one of the great challenges that you'll talk about after our first commercial break will be what? The ability to be able to love one another. Is that it? And we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. Thank you and welcome back to the second segment of the show for today. We're talking to Pastor Daniel Hayes of John Wesley United Methodist Church, and he's given us some information in reference to some of the challenges of the Christian experience, and he's using, for the most part, some of the information that he has developed in a recently published book called Persecution for Righteousness' Sake. Pastor, let's look at some of the items that you, as we indicated during the end of the first segment, some of the things that I think you indicated love it was a major item in reference to that, everything that fits all across your ministry. Speak to that.
Right. One of the things that we have to understand is that being a true Christian for the Lord, our responsibility is to go forth and make disciples of Jesus Christ. And it's hard to do that if you don't have love within your heart and teach people how to love one another. One of the things that's happening across the church today is that we see that there is a large number of nuns. Now, nuns are not the nuns that that are so gratefully serve in the church. I'm talking about nuns that don't attend church at all.
N-O-N-E.
Correct. That people that prefer to do something else on Sunday or Saturday or any other day than go to church. They saying, I'd rather not be in church because we're not feeling love. We're not feeling wanted. We're not feeling desired. One of the things that we have to do as children of God is to spread love to everyone and show everybody that they are of worth in the sight of Jesus Christ. In my book, Persecution for Righteousness' Sake, I lifted up a lot of examples that people that have been thrown aside, people that have made mistakes, people that have had misfortunes in their lives. Sometimes we kick them aside. But Jesus Christ always spent time with people and gave them a second chance, a second opportunity. And sometimes it wasn't just a second opportunity, it was another opportunity because we've used up our first, second, and our third opportunity. So Jesus just keep blessing us and keep giving us opportunity after opportunity. And we can think of some of those opportunities. One was, you can think about the woman at the well that nobody else wanted to associate with, be with, but Jesus came to her, talked with her, shared with her, and after their conversation, this woman ran into the city and told everyone, come see a man. And she fell deeply in love with Jesus, not as a physical love, but a spiritual love and an inward love. And that's what we must be spreading as the church today, is teaching people how to love Jesus Christ first and each other, so the church will become the true church of Jesus Christ.
And so that makes a great element. Continue on.
One of the other things that we have to do is that one of the major things that Jesus Christ have always done for us, he has always looked beyond our faults and see our needs. And in the book of Persecution for Righteousness' Sake, what I've tried to do is make it an inspirational book. So people who have fallen down, Jesus let us know we can get up. People who have made mistakes, Jesus let us know that we can turn our lives around. People that have gone through some turbulent times of life, you got to understand you can come back. And Jesus will be with you, because Jesus is one that does not just look at the times that we have fallen. He look at where we can go and how we can get there. And so developing a love of Jesus Christ is the first and foremost thing that we as Christians have to teach all of God's people. And so that's one of the things that we're going to be, we look at is persecution for righteousness' sake, is also letting people know that sometimes you just can't deal with the main issues that a person might be going through, their storms. You can't just deal with their hardships. You can't deal with just the fact that this person have come from a place that we have never been. But what we have to do is reach out to people and let people know that we love them, but more important than that, we got to teach them that God loves them so they can get up and run like they never ran before for the Lord. So that's one of the things that we want to do, is let people know that once you've gone through the storms, you can come out. You can start all over again. You can reach the top regardless of where you are. If you're in the valley today, you don't have to stay in the valley. If you on a stormy sea of life, guess what? That stormy sea can also pass by, and you will find yourself sailing on blue waters and on clear waters. And that's what God desires for us. So what we have to do is unite together and show people that God is a God of love, and we got to be stewards of love. We got to let everybody know, if we are claiming that we love Jesus Christ with all of our heart, our soul, and our mind, we got to show other folk that we love them and not be afraid to love folk. I used to have a saying when a person would join church, one of the things that I ask of you is that you love us, but more important, you be reminded over and over again that we love you, and we are not afraid to love you. One of the things I find out in church today, everybody's afraid to love each other. And so if we're going to be true Christians of God, we have to step out on faith and just love each other.
And that's what you mean when you say step out on faith, that you might have to love somebody who might not love you at that particular moment, but by your love, they might respond differently. Is that what we're saying?
Correct. When we show love, sometimes love come back. And so what we have to do is let people know that, hey, we're about the Lord, and we're going to love you. And if we love you enough, then surely they will in turn start loving you back. And not, in a very spiritual way and a Christian way where folk can get along together and share together.
Reverend, one of the things that we've noticed in reference to a large number of individuals, not only in church, but a large number of individuals, is that so many individuals have grudges and unforgiveness toward people. What would you say in reference to that, to people who have an unforgiving heart, a non-loving heart?
One of the things that we have to do is be reminded of Jesus Christ, because one of the things that keeps us down and defeats us is an unloving heart, an unforgiving heart. But one of the things that we have to also remember is that it also takes something on the other person's part too. Jesus says that if you repent and you ask me to forgive you, Jesus will forgive you. So we need to learn to share with one another that it's not hard to say, I'm sorry. It's not hard to say that I'm willing to come to you. But when a person come to you with those words, then we have to be Christian enough and love them enough to say, yes, I'm willing to start all over again. Jesus starts all over with us every day of our lives. And that's why, regardless of where we're being, we can say, thank you, Lord, for what he's doing for us.
And that is the attitude of forgiveness that should be a part of every church, just as the attitude of love ought to be a part of every church and every ministry. And of course, we're getting ready for this second commercial break. Then we'll come back and allow you to further expound upon some of these ideas. And we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. Thank you and welcome back to the final segment of the show for today. We're talking to Reverend Daniel Hayes, who is the senior pastor of John Wesley United Methodist Church, and he's given us some information relative to the challenges of the Christian experience. And Pastor Hayes, let's look back over some of the things that we've said, and especially in reference to the text that you have here. I think that you, as you indicated earlier, and as we've indicated earlier, you've written a book dealing with some of the challenges that with another name, persecution for righteousness' sake. I think that's the name. Why don't you hold that up, show that, and tell us why you think that this is an important book, and some of the things in reference to it that you believe that ought to encourage people who will have an opportunity to read such a text.
One of the things, Dr. Haney, is in this book is people have gone through a lot in their lives. People have been mistreated. People have been brought down. People have made mistakes. And because of that, it looked like that once you are down, you stay down. This book, Persecuted for Righteousness' Sake, is to encourage people that because of a mistake, because of any failure in life, because of anything else, you will have a second chance to get up. You will have an opportunity to come back. God looks beyond our faults and see our needs, and therefore we need to be able to look in the mirror and say, I'm going forward. I'm not going to stay where I am. There's a story in this book, and it's entitled, Never Going Back There Again. And what that story is basically saying, regardless of my past, regardless of where I've been, regardless of where I come from, I'm not going back there again. The mistakes that I made, I'm going to leave them in the past. The wrong that I've done, I'm going to leave it in the past. The accusations that have been made on me, I'm going to leave them in the past. I'm not going to carry all of that with me in the future. I'm going to let it go, and I'm never going back.